was now seated upright in his hospital bed, repeatedly jamming his finger into the call button. Despite the sedatives in his system, his heart was racing. Dr. Brooks hurried back in, her ponytail bobbing. "Are you okay?" Langdon shook his head in bewilderment. "I'm in Italy?" "Good," she said. "You're remembering." "No." Langdon pointed out the window, the commanding edifice in the distance. "I recognize the Palazzo Vecchio." Dr. Brooks flicked the lights back on, and yet the Florence skyline disappeared. She came to his bedside, whispering calmly, "Mr. Langdon, there's no need to worry. You're suffering from mild amnesia, but Dr. Marconi confirmed that your brain function is fine." The bearded doctor rushed in as well, apparently hearing the call button. He checked Langdon's heart monitor as the young doctor spoke to him in rapid, fluent Italian. Something about how Langdon was agitato, to learn he was in Italy. Agitated, Langdon thought angrily. More like stupefied. The adrenaline surging through his system was now doing battle with the sedatives. "What happened to me?" he demanded. "What day is it?" "Everything is fine," she said. "It's early morning, Monday, March 18th. Monday. Langdon forced his aching mind to reel back to the last images he could recall. Cold and dark, walking alone across the Harvard campus to a Saturday night lecture series. That was 2 days ago. A sharper panic now gripped him as he tried to recall everything at all. As he tried to recall anything at all from the lecture or afterward. Nothing. The ping of his heart monitor accelerated. The older doctor scratched at his beard and continued adjusting equipment, while Dr. Brooks sat again beside Langdon. "You're going to be okay," she reassured him, speaking gently. We've diagnosed you with retrograde amnesia, which is very common in head trauma. Your memories of the past few days may be muddled or missing, but you should suffer no permanent damage." She paused. "Do you remember my first name?" "I told you when I walked in." Langdon thought a moment. "Sienna. Dr. Sienna Brooks." She smiled. "See? You're already forming new memories." The pain in Langdon's head was almost unbearable, and his near-field vision remained blurry. "What happened? How did I get here?" "I think you should rest. And maybe, how did I get here?" he demanded, his heart monitor accelerating further. "Okay, just breathe easy," Dr. Brooks said, exchanging a nervous look with her colleague. "I'll tell you." Her voice turned markedly more serious. "Mr. Langdon, 3 hours ago you staggered into our emergency room bleeding from a head wound, and you immediately collapsed. Nobody had any idea who you were and how you got here. You were mumbling in English, so Dr. Marconi asked me to assist. I'm on sabbatical here from the UK." Langdon felt like he had awoken inside a Max Ernst painting. What the hell am I doing in Italy? Normally Langdon came here every other June for our conference, but this was March. The sedatives pulled harder at him now, and he felt as if Earth's gravity were growing stronger by the second, trying to drag him down through the mattress. Langdon fought it, hoisting his head, trying to stay alert. Dr. Brooks leaned over him, hovering like an angel. "Please, Mr. Langdon," she whispered. "Head trauma is delicate in the first 24 hours. You need rest, or you could do serious damage." A voice crackled suddenly on the room's intercom. "Dr. Marconi?" The bearded doctor touched a button on the wall and replied, "See?" The voice on the intercom spoke in rapid Italian. Langdon didn't catch what it said, but he did catch the two doctors exchanging a look of surprise. Or is it alarm? "Un momento," Marconi replied, ending the conversation. "What's going on?" Langdon asked. Dr. Brooks' eyes seemed to narrow a bit. That was the ICU receptionist. "Someone's here to visit you." A ray of hope cut through Langdon's That's good news. Maybe this person knows what happened to me. She looked uncertain. It's just odd that someone's here. We didn't have your name. You're not even registered in the system yet. Langdon paddled to set it as and awkwardly hoisted himself upright in his bed. If someone knows I'm here, that person must know what happened. Dr. Brooks glanced at Dr. Marconi, who immediately shook his head and tapped his watch. She turned back to Langdon. This is the ICU, she explained. Nobody is allowed in until 9 a.m. at the earliest. In a moment, Dr. Marconi will go out and see who the visitor is and what he or she wants. What about what I want? Langdon demanded. Dr. Brooks smiled patiently and lowered her voice, leaning closer. Mr. Langdon, there are some things you don't know about last night, about what happened to you. And before you speak to anyone, I think it's only fair that you have all the facts. Unfortunately, I don't think you're strong enough yet to. What facts? Langdon demanded, struggling to prop himself higher. The IV in his arm pinched, and his body felt like it weighed several hundred pounds. All I know is that I am in a Florence hospital, and I arrived repeating the words, "Very sorry." A frightening thought now occurred to him. Was I responsible for a car accident? Langdon asked. Did I hurt someone? No, she said. I don't believe so. Then what? Langdon insisted, eyeing both doctors furiously. I have the right to know what's going on. There was a long silence, and Dr. Marconi finally gave his attractive young colleague a reluctant nod. Dr. Brooks exhaled and moved closer to his bedside. Okay, let me tell you what I know, and you'll listen calmly, agreed? Langdon nodded, the head movement sending a jolt of pain radiating through his skull. He ignored it, eager for answers. The first thing is this. Your head wound was not caused by an accident. What a relief. Not really. Your wound, in fact, was caused by a bullet. Langdon's heart monitor pinged faster. I beg your pardon? Dr. Brooks spoke steadily, but quickly. A bullet grazed the top of your skull and most likely gave you a concussion. You're lucky to be alive. An inch lower and... She shook her head. Langdon stared at her in disbelief. Someone shot me. Angry voices erupted in the hall as an argument broke out. It sounded as if whoever had arrived to visit Langdon did not want to wait. Almost immediately, Langdon heard a heavy door at the far end of the hallway burst open. He watched until he saw a figure approaching down the corridor. The woman was dressed entirely in black leather. She was toned and strong with dark spiked hair. She moved effortlessly as if her feet weren't touching the ground, and she was headed directly for Langdon's room. Without hesitation, Dr. Marconi stepped into the open doorway to block the visitor passage. Firma, the man commanded, holding out his palm like a policeman. The stranger, without breaking stride, produced a silent handgun. She aimed directly at Dr. Marconi's chest and fired. There was a staccato hiss. Langdon watched in horror as Dr. Marconi staggered backward in the room, falling on the floor, clutching his chest, his white lab coat drenched in blood. Chapter 3. Give me just one sec. This is my other water bottle. 37-foot luxury yacht, the Mendacium, I apologize. The Mendacium motored through the pre-dawn mist that rose from the gently rolling swells of the Adriatic. The ship's stealth profile hull was painted gunmetal gray, giving it the distinctly unwelcoming aura of a military vessel. With a price tag of over $300 million, the craft boasted all of the usual amenities: spa, pool, cinema, personal submarine, and a helicopter pad. The ship's creature comforts, however, were of little interest to its owner, who had taken delivery of the yacht 5 years ago and immediately gutted most of the spaces to install a lead-lined, military-grade electronic command center. Fed by 3 dedicated satellite links and a redundant array of terrestrial relay stations, the control room on the Mendacium had a staff of nearly 24 technicians, analysts, operation coordinators who lived on board and remained in constant contact with the organization's various land-based operation centers. The ship's onboard security included a small unit of military-trained soldiers, 2 missile detection systems, and an arsenal of the latest weapons available. Other support staff, cooks, cleaning and service, pushed the total number on board to more than 40. The Mendacium was, in effect, the portable office building from which the owner ran his empire. Known to his employees only as the Provost, he was a tiny, stunted man with tan skin and deep-set eyes. His unimposing physique and direct manner seemed well suited to one who had made a vast fortune providing a private menu of covert services, along with the shadowy fringes of society. He had been called many things: a soulless mercenary, a facilitator of sin, the devil's enabler, but he was none of these. The Provost simply provided his clients with the opportunity to pursue their ambitions and desires without consequence. That mankind was sinful in nature was not his problem. Despite his detractors and their ethical objections, the Provost's moral compass was a fixed star. He had built his reputation and the consortium itself on 2 golden rules: never make a promise you can't keep, and never lie to a client, ever. In his professional career, the Provost had never broken a promise or reneged on a deal. His word was bankable, an absolute guarantee, and while there were certainly contracts he regretted having made, backing out of them was never an option. This morning, as he stepped onto the private balcony of his yacht's stateroom, the Provost looked across the churning sea and tried to fend off the disquiet that had settled in his gut. The decisions of our past are the architects of our present. The decisions of the Provost's past had put him in a position to negotiate almost any minefield and always come out on top. Today, however, as he gazed out the window at the distant lights of the Italian mainland, he felt uncharacteristically on edge. 1 year ago, on this very yacht, he had made a decision whose ramifications now threatened to unravel everything he had built. I agreed to provide services to the wrong man. There had been no way the Provost could have known at the time, and yet now the miscalculation had brought a tempest of unforeseen challenges, forcing him to send some of his best agents into the field with orders to do whatever it took to keep this listing ship from capsizing. At the moment, the Provost was waiting to hear from one field agent in particular, Vayenta, he thought, picturing the sinewy, spike-haired specialist. Fayenta, who had served perfectly until this mission, had made a mistake last night that had dire consequences. The last 6 hours had been a scramble, a desperate attempt to regain control of the situation. Fayenta claimed her error was a result of a simple bad luck, the untimely coo of a dove. The provost, however, did not believe in luck. Everything he did was orchestrated to eradicate randomness and remove chance. Control was the provost's expertise, foreseeing every possibility, anticipating every response, and molding reality toward the desired outcome. He had an immaculate track record of success and secrecy, and with it came a staggering clientele, billionaires, politicians, shit, I apologize, shikas, and even entire governments. To the east, the first faint light of morning had begun to consume the lowest star on the horizon. On the deck, the provost stood and patiently awaited word from Fayenta that her mission had gone exactly as planned. I'm gonna try to get this chapter in, but I think my phone's gonna run out of storage space if I go too slow. We might have to speed run this one. Chapter 4. For an instant, Langdon felt as if time had stopped. Dr. Marconi lay motionless on the floor, blood gushing from his chest. Finding the sedatives in his system, Langdon raised his eyes to the spike-haired assassin, who was still striding down the hall, covering the last few yards toward its open door. As she neared the threshold, she looked toward Langdon and instantly swung her weapon in his direction, aiming at his head. I'm going to die, Langdon realized, here and now. The bang was deafening in the small hospital room. Langdon recoiled, certain he had been shot, but the noise had not been the attacker's gun. Rather, the bang had been the slam of the room's heavy metal door, as Dr. Brooks threw herself against it and turned the lock. Eyes wild with fear, Dr. Brooks immediately spun and crouched beside her blood-soaked colleague, searching for a pulse. Dr. Marconi coughed up a mouthful of blood, which trickled down his cheek across his thick beard. Then he fell limp. Enrico, no. Ti prego, she screamed. Outside, a barrage of bullets exploded against the metal exterior of the door. Shouts of alarm filled the hall. Somehow, Langdon's body was in motion, panic and instinct now overruling his sedatives. As he clambered awkwardly out of bed, a searing hot pain tore into his right forearm. For an instant, he thought a bullet had passed through the door and hit him, but when he looked down, he realized his IV had snapped off in his arm. The plastic catheter poked out of a jagged hole in his forearm, and warm blood was already flowing backward out of the tube. Langdon was now fully awake. Crouched beside Marconi's body, Dr. Brooks kept searching for a pulse as tears welled in her eyes. Then, as if a switch had been flipped inside her, she stood and turned to Langdon. Her expression transformed before his eyes, her young features hardening with all the detached composure of a seasoned ER doctor dealing with a crisis. Follow me, she commanded. Dr. Brooks grabbed Langdon's arm and pulled him across the room. The sounds of gunfire and chaos continued in the hallway as Langdon lurched forward on unstable legs. His mind felt alert, but his heavily drugged body was slow to respond. Move. The tile door felt cold. The tile floor The tile floor felt cold beneath his feet, and his thin hospital Johnny was scared. He struggled to get him back to his feet, cursing out loud the fact that he had been sedated. As they neared the end of the alley, Langdon stumbled again. This time she left him on the ground, rushing into the street and yelling to someone in the distance. Langdon could make out the faint green light of a taxi parked in the front of the hospital. The car didn't move, its driver undoubtedly asleep. Dr. Brooks screamed and waved her arms wildly. Finally, the taxi's headlights came on and moved lazily toward them. Behind Langdon in the alley, a door burst open, followed by the sound of rapidly approaching footsteps. He turned and saw the dark figure bounding toward him. Langdon tried to get back to his feet, but the doctor was already grabbing him, forcing him into the backseat of an idling Fiat taxi. He landed half on the seat and half on the floor as Dr. Brooks dove on top of him, yanking the door shut. The sleepy-eyed driver turned and stared at the bizarre duo that had just tumbled into his cab. A young, ponytailed woman in scrubs, and a man in a half-torn Johnny with a bleeding arm. He clearly was about ready to tell them to get the hell out of his car when the side mirror exploded. The woman in black leather sprinted out of the alley, gun extended. Her pistol hissed just as Dr. Brooks grabbed Langdon's head, pulling it down. The rear window exploded, showering them with glass. The driver needed no further encouragement. He slammed his foot down on the gas, and the taxi peeled out. Langdon teetered on the brink of consciousness. Someone is trying to kill me. Once they had rounded a corner, Dr. Brooks sat up and grabbed Langdon's bloody arm. The catheter was protruding awkwardly from the hole in his flesh. Look out the window, she commanded. Langdon obeyed. Outside, ghostly tombstones rushed by in the darkness. It seemed somehow fitting that they were passing a cemetery. Langdon felt the doctor's finger probing gently for the catheter, and then, without warning, she wrenched it out. A searing bolt of pain traveled directly to Langdon's head. He felt his eyes rolling